watching 123 Conversations. I am one of your co-hosts, Candace Thomas, joined by Terry Dean. I'm an intuitive coach. Terry is a creative entrepreneur. She also has 30 years plus experience working in sales and marketing. And we are so super thrilled to have our guest, Jessica Elmore, today. Hi, Jessica. Jessica,
hi.
Below us, just on the screen. And so this is really exciting for us. For those of you who don't know, Jessica is a financial advisor with the Albuquerque, New Mexico Northwestern Mutual office. And in that role, she has been a trailblazer for women in her office, being the only woman and female advisor. And then she actually worked her way into a leadership position intentionally so that she's now a mentor and an advisory capacity to mentor other people in the office. And by the way, she's the only female mentor in that role that is leading and inspiring other folks that are coming along, which is huge. Speaking of mentorship,
there's a theme going on with this, I think. Jessica's also the president for the Fem City Albuquerque chapter, and you've been in this position for 4 years? I can't remember. 4 years. Okay. Right? And you're also on the board for the Serenity Mesa Recovery Center, and they do some amazing work. And I believe one of the first times you got on my radar was when you were running for Woman of the Year for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And I know you've raised a great deal of money and helped raise awareness for what they're doing in the chapter here. And that's a great organization. I've done things with them over the years, and I just love it. So we're just super tickled that you're here. And this is going to be a fun conversation. And I think we have a lot that we can cover. So Candace, I'll let you kind of kick us off.
Well, so this was just our shortened bio. We'll have Jessica's contact information so you can see all the cool stuff that she's done. And sometimes we have guests on, I see themes and the kinds of things that they do and the legacies they create. And I'm getting very big mentorship from you that you really seem to have a passion for inspiring, leading, and helping people move forward. And I think the thing I'm most curious to ask you is, what's that about? Why is mentorship so important to you?
Well, okay, that's a good one. You're leading with it, like the big, the big one, Candace. So I guess I do see that theme. I guess I never put that together. I mean, that is kind of the theme, even with Serenity Mesa, right? It's like people trying to be better and do better. And yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually never really noticed that. But I mean, for me, I really like being a leader. I like being a mentor because I like that role and being a partner and helping someone grow and do better. When I started the career here as an advisor, there wasn't a female advisor that was a veteran advisor. There was no one to talk to about the role, like from a woman's perspective. And I was a young single mom at the time. And so life was really difficult. I was starting a business. I had no sales experience. And, not because they weren't trying to help, but the men who were mentoring me just didn't do a very good job of mentoring a woman and, a single mother. They didn't really understand what it was like. And so I really like doing that for the young women in particular. I wish I would have had that, and I like being that. And I guess, like, going even further back, I didn't really, to be completely transparent, I didn't really have a good role model. My mother and I are estranged. I never had that like woman figure. And I think maybe a lot of it comes from that too. Like, just, I needed that. I went searching for it. I found it. That was one of the reasons why I connected with Fem City. I was like, this is amazing. Like, all these women getting together and supporting each other, and this safe place where we can laugh or cry and always drink wine and share business ideas. And I just thought, like, this is so cool. Like, I needed that at the time. I really, really needed that. And that's why I jumped into it. And that's still why I'm involved in it, because I like helping with that platform that brings women together to give them that support that they need. I think that's so important. So I'm very blessed. I'm very happy with myself. I didn't give up when I didn't have that, but I really liked, giving that to other people. So it's been a big thing for me.
I think that's a wonderful, wonderful recap of everything. I do have a question before we go to the next one. So we're way beyond our 3 questions already. It doesn't sound like there were a lot of female role models in the work environment, but do you have like anyone that you have that you kind of, I don't want to say admire, but maybe admire, or role models that you've had in the past, or is there anyone in particular that stands out for you, and who would that be and why? Or how have they touched you?
That's a good question, Terry. Well, Terry Dean and Candace Thomas, obviously, because they're amazing. Gosh, I don't know, Terry. That's a really good question. I think that at different times in my life, there have been different people that I looked up to and that helped me grow, like in those moments. And then, some of them now are still friends of mine, but I don't look up to them anymore because they've kind of like grown up, and I think that's what you hope in life, is that you keep growing and keep evolving.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't think I have like one person that I just want to be just like. I mean, I read a lot of books. When I started my career, I started doing a lot of self-help books, and like Marianne Williamson and Jen Sincero, who does the "You Are a Badass," and like kind of those, just mindset books and like manifesting, and but God, but no, I don't know. That's good. That's a really good question. I guess I never realized that. I don't think I have one of those. I see like great qualities in lots of people that I aspire to be like, or whatnot. But
and I think you did answer the question. Well, they can either be people we know, or it can oftentimes be people that were who are writing books, or people who we are watching on platform TED Talks and things like that inspire us and keep us moving forward. And it sounds like you are very eager to consume that self-help kind of content. So I'm sure that's been multiple people have been factors in you up-leveling all these years.
Totally.
Right?
I really like what you said too, because that's such an honest answer. For me, the people who have made some of the biggest impacts in my life probably don't even know that they did. They're not the Oprah Winfrey's or Steve Jobs or someone like we're, supposed to like and admire because they've done incredible, phenomenal things. But they've been teachers I've had, old bosses who they just came into work today and they had such an incredible talent and personality and had my back. And it was this, at the time, that was the only place that I was getting that. And it profoundly made me see the world can be a safe and great supportive place, and it made me want to step up and do the same. But those people have no idea how they profoundly impacted me at all. So I get what you're saying, and I have had that because I've moved a lot in different areas. There was always quite a few people who were like that, and I've said this on our show, 1, 2, 3 Conversations, but Terry is one of those people. I've just been so blessed to be surrounded by folks who, it's true, and but I do tell Terry, I don't know if Terry believes me, but I tell her constantly all the time, because it's just in the ways that they react day to day profoundly impact. And it's like, I've got to switch up what I'm doing, and how can I be more like this, like more compassionate and more open. So I love that answer. And I'm really curious, when you talk about, you didn't really have, when you were younger, the mentorship or the role models. What is it how did you get through that? What would your advice be to someone else who might be going through a situation where they really feel alone right now? And even with the work and some of the organizations that you're with, like Serenity Mesa Recovery, which we can talk more about as well. How would you talk to a person? What would you say to them, to the person who feels like they would like a mentor, but no one has their back and they don't know where to begin or what to do?
Well, there's a couple pieces to that question, I think, Candace, because on the one hand, I feel like, well, one thing for me is, I always kind of knew at my core that I was going to be okay. Like, even when I was going through really difficult times in my life, I kind of always knew like I was going to get past it somehow. And I didn't really understand how or why, but I just kind of like had that, and I held on to that, like, no, I'm going to make it through this. So I think that's part of it, like, you know, and then seeking it out. So one is, you know, being that for yourself if you need to be. Like, it was kind of like my future self, I think, like, you're going to be okay. You're not going to be stuck in this rut forever. This is not going to be where you end up or how you end up. So I kind of held on to that. And then, you know, later on, I mean, really, one of the things I'm most thankful for about my career with Northwestern, here comes the crying. See, this is the thing I told you, is that this career has put me on a path of self-discovery that I'm so thankful for. And so, you know, when I got here and I didn't have that, I mean, Fem City was one of those things. I found a group of women. I met Terry long before Fem City. I met Terry when I did some TV spots, like my first year in the business. I remember my compliance department was like, oh, dear Lord, don't put this.
I remember all of that.
But it did fine, you know, but anyway, so I found that in the groups, but then I just really, you know, started doing that self-discovery and started reading books and started reflecting and just trying to grow as a person. And you know, and I still do that. I mean, I was, you know, just telling you guys, I'm still just the last couple of weeks, like reflecting on things and like trying to be better and trying to seek out, you know, the people that make me feel comfortable and happy, and, you know, the clients that make me feel fulfilled, and the, you know, just all the things. So it's just got to be, it's constant, I think, never ending, you know, trying to find the people that want to make you better, or make you want to be better, however you want to say that.
Both. It's both.
Yeah.
It's both. And yeah, what do they say too? Like the 5 people closest to you are kind of a reflection of where you are. And that's kind of important. You're making me think of something else. A friend of mine that lives in Phoenix, she has been an entrepreneur since she came out of the womb. And anyway, one of the things she said to me when I saw her in Arizona a couple of years ago was, what the heck was it? But she said, you know, stepping into this business, I knew no one had my back. I had to believe in myself first, because I knew no one else was believing in my dreams the way I really was hoping somebody would be buying into my mission. And she goes, but when I shifted my mindset and I was like, I believe in myself and I believe in this more than anybody. She said, then it was sort of like people started to follow along. But when I was in that self-doubt initially, I just didn't have the buy-in to my vision, you know, as I do today. But I don't know if I explained that correctly, but we have to somehow be able to figure out how to dig deep enough to access that, whatever it is. And like you said, you knew you would be okay. You didn't know when or how, but you always knew you'd be okay. So I think we have to really harness that energy and just move forward from that place, because we have to believe in ourselves, or no one else is going to believe in us or what we want for ourselves or those around us.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, and I think there's a certain level of vulnerability that comes with that. If you are not a person who grew up with love and support, where your ideas were cherished, you are not used to trusting the things that you like to do, or you're not used to trusting what brings you happiness or joy. And Jessica, it really resonated what you said about, hey, I'm still discovering who I am, essentially. I'm still discovering, I'm still learning. These are the steps that I took. And I love that, because that's exactly how it is. People oftentimes, when they think there's going to be some switch and they flip it, and then you just know about yourself and you know what you want and you know how to love yourself. And it isn't like that. It takes the willingness to go on the journey to discover yourself. And then the vulnerability to say, you know, I would like to believe that people could have my back, so I'm going to reach out, and maybe it's Fem City or whatever it is for folks, like even talking to someone. It's apparently really hard for folks to make friends as adults. And I've never had an issue with that. I can't do other things, but friendships, no problem. That's easy, because I really like hearing people's stories, and it's, you know, just really easy for me to, and that was born of my people-pleasing nature, was another problem. So it's like everything is, you know, whatever. But all that to say, I just felt like that's such that's the truth, you know? And I really like for anyone, my take on what you said, who's hearing that, is know that it's not going to be like that, especially if you're right now stuck in a situation.
Right.
But, you know, when you can, being willing to believe in yourself and be vulnerable. And that is such a Terry, what you're saying, cart before the horse thing, that happens all the time to folks, where it's like, you know, when I do this, then I know that I'm going to be good enough for love or respect or for clients, and people will get what I'm doing. And that won't happen until you do those things first. Like, it can kind of happen, but then people self-sabotage along the way. And the thing about, too, as a psychic medium, very woo-y, but and this is where people talk about, oh, like law of attraction. It's what, like, you attract who you are or whatever, or what you believe, not who you are, something to that effect. And I feel like that's a little bit too limiting, because what happens is the people who believe in your business or believe in who you are, who you really are, they can really see you. You're attracting all of those people, along with the naysayers and the haters and the doubters. But what will happen is your mind will filter out all the people who do appreciate what you have and what you're about, and you will focus and really notice very loudly all the people who match your limiting beliefs, the negative things you say. And so it then does become important. Like, both of you guys just blowing my mind, because the more that you can get clear about, well, today I know this about myself and I would like this, and are willing to see what is happening in the world before you let your mind take you back to that place of, that's impossible for me, it's never going to change, I have to figure it out, or else. Like, if you can be really present in the moment, you will start seeing the people outside of your limiting belief and mindset, which is difficult, right? Like, that's where books, groups, coaches, whatever it is that can help with things in that area. So I love that. Jessica, this is making me think of another question for you, which is, what makes a good mentor? So for anyone who wants to get more involved in their community or in their agency or department, whatever, in their business, to help people out, like, what advice would you give them? Like, what makes a good mentor?
Oh, that's what makes a good mentor. Well, I appreciate the confidence that I must be a good mentor. Sometimes I worry that I'm not doing, this is a perfectionist in me, right? Like, I'm always trying to be the best I can. And I think that, being a good mentor, one, you have to lead by example. So, you have to be, so in my role, when I mentor the new advisors, I have to be a good advisor. You have to do that. You can't sit down and talk to them about their business, their numbers, or their language, or anything if you're not also out there doing it. So you have to be authentic in that way. But I think really caring about someone else, right? Being a mentor, and it kind of depends on the exact roles. But if they succeed, they're really happy with you, and if they don't, it's all your fault. And so you're putting yourself out there for that kind of judgment. It's just from that one person, or from, I guess you could worry about it, judgment from others, but you just be willing and giving time, right? Time is our most precious commodity. And that's the thing about, mentorship and leadership. It's about giving all that time away, right? You're still doing it for you. I like being a mentor because it makes me feel good. I like being that for people and helping them. But, that's why some people aren't good leaders and mentors, because they're just not built that way. So I think those two things, and then just really taking an interest in the success of other people, and not even the success. For me, like with some of the young women, they may or may not have success, but I feel good if they have a place they can come on a bad day, and if they just want to come cry in my office or whatever, I'm here. And that sometimes is all you need too, is just someone that knows what it's like to be in your shoes and listens, without giving advice. It's just someone that gets it.
Right. That makes sense. Man, so you're just blowing my mind. I have so many other questions that I want to ask here, because I'm trying to be cognizant of our time together today, because I'm really curious then, and I don't know if you'd be willing to share this. You don't have to if you don't want to, but what's an example of, like, what's the worst mentorship advice that you've gotten, or what has been a great example of how not to mentor? And again, if that's too hard a question, we can do something else, but like, what's an example of, hey, don't do it this way?
Don't do it this way. Well, my examples are, men mentoring women poorly. And to be fair, the men that were my mentors and colleagues early on in my career, they didn't know that they weren't being helpful, so I want to put that out there. I think they genuinely did, care about my success. They just had no idea what it was like to be in my shoes. And so it's usually around emotions, because I'm a woman, right? That's consistently still to this day part of the struggle of being a woman in a man's industry is, women are emotional, and we are, and you know what, that's okay. And when I first started, I didn't know that was okay. I would be told things like, Jessica, you need to keep it together, because when you're having a bad day, everybody knows you're having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm affecting the rest of the people in the office because I'm having a bad day. Instead of being like, come on in here, what's on your mind, whatever. Along the same lines, I got told once, like, oh, it was kind of like a review, like a business review. Like, oh, we're just so proud of you, Jessica, because there was a time when you would come in here for these and we didn't know which Jessica we were going to get.
Oh, wow.
Like, oh, thanks. Like the same person. Okay. But I got told I wasn't polished enough. Like I didn't dress nice enough. Lots of things, all from men, talking to, I was an adult at the time. I was 30 years old when I started, but still like just really condescending and not taking into account that it was hard. It was hard for me when I started. I was a single mom. I had no money in the bank. I had never done sales. It was a commission only job. I mean, I was a total like crazy person probably to take it, but I just I had my little coming to Jesus with myself, and I'm like, no, I want this. Like, this is exactly everything I ever wanted. And so I jumped in, but yeah, it was, I think, those are some really good examples of the kind of stuff I dealt with early on. And and there's still things now that come up. Now I let it roll off my back a little bit easier, right? Like, I don't care what you think. I'm gonna go cry in my office today because I'm having a bad day or whatever. Like
Holly
whatever.
Broadcast news.
Right.
It just so things not to do. Don't talk down to the people you're trying to mentor. I also, something I've learned lately, just for my own like work, is to sometimes let them be there in the moment. Sometimes we think, so we're just like, it's okay, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. It's okay. And I realized that, I used to do that to myself all the time. Like, get up and keep going. And, me talking to my like vulnerable self. And there's a young lady in the office who's in a similar position as I was when I started. And I realized I was telling her that, like, you got to get over this. You got to get it together. You got to like push through. And I went back to her like a week ago and I was like, hey, I want to tell you that it's okay. Like, it's okay that it's hard, and it's okay that you're stressed out. Mm-hmm. And you are going to be fine, but like, it's okay to feel that. And she just hugged me. She was like, thank you so much. That's what I needed. Like that means a lot. And it was like, that meant a lot to me to like realize I was doing the same thing to her that I was doing to myself, which is not, just sometimes people just got to be, told that it's okay to be in a rut or in a bad mood or have a crappy month or, and sometimes mentorship is that. It's just being there with them and telling them it's okay to feel that way.
I think that really makes a good leader. I'm in a position now where I have probably the most amazing manager that I've ever had in my life. And he's a guy, which is great. But I'm very transparent with him. I'm like, I'm losing my mind, right? It's been, our industry has been, really like slapped straight in the face with COVID. And there will be afternoons or mornings where I go, I'm just dying. What do I do? And he does exactly that for me. He'll say, well, why don't you get up from your desk? Why don't you go take a walk? Grab the dog, go take a walk, go get something to eat. And you know what? It's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. But just give yourself that permission to breathe, because we are designed by nature, almost all of my adult life, which has been quite a bit longer than the two of you. We're in this masculine environment in corporate America where it's like you just push through. You don't stop. You don't take a breath. It doesn't matter if you're falling apart. It doesn't matter if your kids are homesick from school. And, I haven't had to navigate the child care thing, but you have, Jessica. And it's just like, it doesn't matter. At all costs, you need to be here. You need to be at your desk. You need to be at that client appointment. You need to get that. You need to book that order. It needs to be in the system right this second. And everything comes second to that, like your health, your wellness, all this. It's just like drive. And I think we can get so much more done. Candace talks a lot about like the nap ministry and, the value of being able to step back and take a nap and get some rest, right? So if we do those things and we step back and we take care of our health, or we take care of our rest, I think we're double productive when we are back on the job again, or trying to accomplish whatever it is as an entrepreneur that you're trying to accomplish. So we have to give ourselves all of it. So I think it's really important, Jessica, that you just kind of went to your colleague and said, you know what? I get it. Like, I get it. It's okay to feel like crap right now. It's okay to want to cry. Like, that's normal. And plus, too,
and to not have a solution,
Right.
Like,
you don't have to always have the answers.
Let's just fix you because you're feeling sad. Like, nope, let's just do something. And that's the toxicity of the grind culture. And it's like, it's so weird because the worst thing, we're Americans, the worst thing you've been called here is lazy. You don't want to be seen as lazy. That's like a big thing. If you really care, you have to grind. If you really mean it, you'll make it happen. And it just puts people in this place where the reason why folks have such a hard time and are not able to innovate or even discover who they are is because they're constantly stressed and working. And there's even when you're not working, you're working when you're in those types of high pressure environments. And being an entrepreneur, even if you're if it's a side gig, a hustle, or showing up in your community some way, it is, if you want to like really go through self-help and discovery, it's like run a business, like run something where you're responsible for it. And you will learn so much about who you are and who you thought you were versus who you actually are and who you are not. And it really is intense for folks, and especially working a job where if it's commission, it's the same thing. 100% commission-based job, it's the same thing where you've got to it's all on you to figure something out and do stuff. And you will learn lightning fast exactly what you believe in and your values, and things will shatter in front of you. And that's not bad. It just is very surprising. It was very surprising for me because I thought I was one way and knew about the world. And then when I became an entrepreneur, it's like, I don't know anything about anything. I don't know what's going on.
Well, and I think we have like
different for.
Go ahead,
sorry, Terry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to go ahead. You go first, and then I'll go after you.
Well, I was just going to make an observation that something I've learned over the last couple of years is that some of that's different for men and women too. I mean, men need to work hard to feel good, and women need to feel good to work hard. Like, it is the reverse kind of way for us, just because of the way that we're wired. If women don't feel good or refreshed or healthy or happy, we're just not as productive. Men don't have that same kind of tie to that. They'll just kind of work through it and then, get to the other side and be like, yeah, I did it, feel better now or whatever. And it's just not that way for women. It's a totally different experience. Entrepreneurship is a totally different experience for women, success and failure and having to be a mom and having to be a wife and, taking care of the house and doing the work. I mean, it's a lot. So yeah.
Yeah. And all I was going to touch on is like the unnatural expectations or unrealistic expectations we have on ourselves. And I remember being in an environment where, it's like you're getting an email when you're in front of a client and an order's coming in, and your phone's blowing up and you're face to face with someone, and you get in the car and it's like, how come you didn't put the order in? How come you haven't answered that request yet? It's because I was with somebody face to face. Well, you need to get that done now. It worked okay back in the olden days when there was a little pink pad at the front desk and somebody would say, hey, Terry, call Jessica. I'd get you called when I came back to the office, but the cell phone then was born, and now
always
it's like
on. Yeah, you're always supposed to be available.
Lightning speed.
Yeah,
and it's not healthy, and it's not even a realistic expectation. We still need to manage and allocate and have boundaries around it too. So that was all I want to say about that. We can keep moving.
Boundaries. That's a good one for women.
Right. So Jessica, how can people get a hold of you if they want to know more about you?
Oh, how can people get a hold of me? Well, you can call me. You can email me. You can Facebook me. I'm just kidding. All the ways, right? Terry has her little phone. The best way to get in touch with me, if you want to connect over virtual coffee, or you have questions, or you want to talk about Fem City or Serenity Mesa or any of those things, you can just, usually the best way is to email me. So it's just Jessica. That's my last name, Elmore @nm.com. NM is for Northwestern Mutual, not New Mexico. But there you go. That's the best way.
Right. Right. And we'll pop in there. And I also have a website. Did you want me to, your website, jessicaelmore.com? Yeah.
That's
so
it.
We'll pop we'll pop that into the show notes. Yeah. And Terry, how can people get a hold of you?
You can just go to LinkedIn and find me at Terry, Terri, last name Dean, Dean. Or you can go to femcity.com and Google me there, or just drop us a note wherever you're watching or listening to this, and I'll respond. And Candace, how about you?
CandiceThomasintuitive.com, CandiceThomas, intuitive altogether.com. And I'm also on Instagram as Candace Intuitive, and I just joined Clubhouse, and I'm starting to do different talks in different rooms. Usually they're going to be on Sunday afternoons or Sunday evenings. So far, depending on the time when this comes out, so it might be radically different. And on Clubhouse, I somehow got Candace Thomas, just my actual name. So yeah.
It was meant to be. It was
meant to be, yeah. So thank you so much, Jessica, for chatting with us today.
You're welcome.
And everyone watching, please check out our other videos. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel so you can see more of our amazing interviews with folks. All right, have a great day. Bye.
1, 2, 3, 4.